Okay.
But yeah, I have like marketing experience there.
Yarrow Princess. My name is Jimmy G. I am your captain for this cruise, and I'm assisting here with Gideon, my first mate, also known as Autopilot. Now, because we're jumping on a commercial vessel, safety emergency exits, the doorway to my right, and the rear door leading out to the rear deck, also known as the after deck. More common. You are quite welcome to use the rear deck at any time. Please be advised any children visiting the rear deck must be accompanied by an adult at all times, making sure they keep both feet firmly on the deck. No climbing rails, standing on the seats, and definitely no sitting on the roof. Highly dangerous. As for the adults on the rear deck, please be advised we come under 3 very low bridges. We're experiencing some high tides. These bridges will be nice and close. I will sound the horn. That's your indication to duck. We do know a Panadol or Band-Aids on board, so please don't bump your heads. And they also tell me the speakers on the rear deck do not work. You will not hear a thing I say. Some people say that's a good thing. On the way out to the rear deck, you will pass the toilets and life jackets stored in the black lockers either side of the bar. Now, I'm going to tell you about the things you see on the river. I'll talk on the way down. When we turn around and come back, you already know what you're looking at, so I'm going to be nice and quiet. You can enjoy the scenery. Now, the bridge in front of us is officially known as the Evan Walker Bridge. Evan Walker was one of the main architects of Southgate. More commonly known as the Southgate Footbridge, allows pedestrians to cross from one side of the river to the other. Access to Southgate with all its restaurants on the left, Flinders Street Station, and through the subway, Melbourne CBD. And the next bridge in front of us, the Dark Grey Bridge, that's officially known as the Sandridge Rail Bridge, was part of Melbourne's first rail line, operating from Flinders Street Station, going all the way down to Railway Pier Sandwich, which is now known as a station pier for Melbourne. This is the bridge that brought all the early immigrants into Melbourne, arriving by a sail ship, landing at station pier, transporting to Melbourne by rail. Rail often uses a rail bridge, it too is a pedestrian bridge, allows pedestrians to go from Flinders Street Station directly to Crown Casino. As you go for a stroll over the bridge, have a look at the glass panels. Each one has a country from A to Z and how many immigrants they brought into Melbourne. The structure on top of the bridge is a piece of artwork, officially known as the Travellers. Each section represents a different era in our development. And no, it does not have lights on it. It is lit up with spotlights coming a lovely haze, but the structure does not have lights on it. On our left, our newest restaurant, Yarra Botanica. It does not go anywhere, they just sit on top of the water, eat and drink. Obviously, they're running out of land, they're building restaurants on the river. Now the next bridge in front of us, the Bright Silver one, Queensbridge. Prior to its construction in 1889, there was a rocky bar, a waterfall, and that separated all the fresh water from the mountains, from the salt water from the seas, all the ingredients you needed for a settlement. As Melbourne developed, we developed the Upper Yarra Reservoir, piping out drinking water into the city. No longer needing the waterfall here, we blasted away with dynamite, and we built Queensbridge in 1889. That allowed us to ferry cargo upstream on punts and barges. You see, on the other side of the bridge was the first commercial port in Melbourne. I do hope they remember to duck on the back deck. And this is not the lowest bridge. The next silver one is. And we are at low tide at the moment. Now that we've cleared the bridge on our right behind the Immigration Museum, you see the old Standy building, the very first Ports Authority building. They used to be able to step outside their front door and be in the first commercial port of Melbourne. Sailing ships and steamships, they used to come all the way up here to offload their cargo. In fact, this wide body of water here known as a swinging basin, turning basin, very important in every port even today. Large ships do not like travelling backwards. Once they're loaded, they have to be able to spin around and sail on out. Over here on our right, Sea Life, Melbourne's aquarium. Quite enjoyable going for a stroll through the aquarium, seeing all kinds of creatures from the tropical fish of the Barrier Reef. It's completed in 1961. Nothing too much to be said about this bridge, except it is a major roadway, Kingsway. When they started developing Crown Casino on the left, they weren't allowed to interfere with the roadway. So they built the Crown Casino underneath, around and over the top of Kingsway, making Crown one of the only casinos in the world that has a major roadway going through the centre of it. You are quite welcome to visit Crown Casino. They're always looking for donations. Never winnings, always donations. Now the next bridge in front of us, the bright silver one, Spencer Street Bridge. This is the lowest bridge to cross the Riviera. Due to the arch formation, we have to take it right in the middle. And this is a tidal river. It varies about 1 metre from low tide to high tide. So why do we build the bridges so low? Well, Queensbridge back there was the first of the low bridges, built in 1889, commercial port of Melbourne. And if you look at the right-hand bank, you see it is quite flat, quite low. That's what all of Melbourne used to look like. And the only form of transport we had back then, it was horse and cart. And the poor old horses could not go up a steep ramp carrying a cart full of cargo. So we had to keep the bridges as low and as flat as possible, so as not to strain the animals too much. We already had one low bridge, so why should they spend the money to make the other bridges any higher? We just have to keep our vessels much lower. No one thought we'd be using the river as much as we do today. All these bridges, they are heritage listed, so we can't change their appearance in any way, shape or form. During the 1930s, we got this steel bridge, the Spencer Street Bridge. At the same time, Sydney got a steel bridge, the Sydney Harbour Bridge. All I'll say is, ours was finished first. Something about size. Who said size doesn't know? Alright, now that we've cleared the low bridges, on our left-hand side we have the lovely glass building, officially known as Melbourne Exhibition and Convention Centre. Quite a large name, so the locals we reduced it to a smaller name. We call it Jeff Shed. After the Premier, Jeff Kennett, who instigated its construction. Quite an amazing building. It's actually built on the design of a jumbo 747 jet wing. You see, there are no pillars holding the roof up internally. It's all held up by all the external columns, leaving for Melbourne's largest open showroom. In fact, the largest open showroom in the Southern Hemisphere. And that is next to Melbourne's Maritime Museum. What I enjoy the Melbourne Maritime Museum is the 3-masted square-rigged sailing ship, the Polly Woodside. Polly Woodside was built in Belfast, Northern Ireland in 1885, made out of wrought iron steel, built from the same shipyard that built another famous vessel, the Titanic. And the Polly Woodside, she sits inside the Duke and Orr Strait off. See, back in the days of sail when ships needed repair, we did not have large cranes to pick them up out of the water. What they did was sail them inside the dry dock, close off the gates and pump the water. He found the same river, he found the same banks, which fertile soil, perfect for farming, all the timber you needed for construction, and all the fresh water you needed to survive. It was John Batman the one that said, this would be the perfect place for a village. He wanted to increase his farmland, so he came well prepared. He brought with him lots of supplies and a treaty, a contract if you like. He met with the local Aboriginal tribe, the Wurundjeri tribe. He spoke to the chiefs, and they agreed for a trade of blankets, hankies, axes and knives. They would send down.